Story number 1. Shadows of Deception. I've always believed that love at first sight was a poetic notion, a sentiment reserved for romantic novels and silver screen fantasies. As someone who thrives on logic and routine, the chaos of emotions often left me bewildered. Yet, there I was, nervously preparing for my first date in months, hoping to find a genuine connection amidst the digital labyrinth of online dating. Her name was Emily. Her profile was the epitome of what I was looking for: intelligent, compassionate, with a smile that could light up the darkest of rooms. Our conversations flowed effortlessly, filled with shared interests and dreams of the future. By the end of our third week of messaging, I felt a connection I hadn't felt in years. We decided to meet at a quaint little cafe downtown, a place known for its cozy ambience and aromatic coffee. The day of the date arrived, and I found myself staring at the entrance of the cafe, my heart pounding with a mix of excitement and anxiety. When Emily walked in, she was even more stunning in person. Her eyes sparkled with warmth, and her presence exuded a calming confidence. We greeted each other with a warm embrace and settled into a corner table, the soft hum of conversations and the clinking of coffee cups creating a comforting backdrop. The evening was everything I had hoped for. We shared stories about our lives, laughed over shared interests, and found solace in each other's company. Emily's laughter was infectious, and her genuine interest in my life made me feel seen and appreciated. As the night progressed, the connection deepened, and I couldn't help but feel that I had finally found someone special. After dinner, Emily suggested a walk along the riverfront. The idea sounded perfect: a peaceful stroll under the stars, away from the bustling city. We agreed, and soon found ourselves walking side by side, the cool night air refreshing against our skin. The river shimmered under the moonlight, and the sound of the water flowing created a serene melody. As we walked, Emily's demeanor shifted subtly. Her stories became more personal, revealing a depth of emotion that was both captivating and unsettling. She spoke of past heartbreaks, personal losses, and a yearning for something more meaningful. I listened intently, feeling an overwhelming sense of empathy and a desire to protect her from the pain she had endured. Suddenly, a chill ran down my spine. There was something in her eyes, a flicker of fear, a hint of desperation that I couldn't quite place. "Are you okay?" I asked, concern evident in my voice. She hesitated, glancing around as if sensing something I couldn't see. "There's something I need to tell you," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "Something important." Before I could respond, Emily abruptly stopped walking, her face contorted with fear, and she looked directly into my eyes. "I'm sorry, Mike, I have to go," she said, turning away from me with a hurriedness that left me confused and worried. "Wait, Emily, what's wrong?" I called after her, but she was already vanishing into the darkness, leaving me standing alone by the riverfront, a sense of unease settling over me like a heavy fog. The following days were a blur of confusion and concern. I reached out to Emily, sending messages and making calls, but she never responded. Her disappearance felt abrupt and unexplained, leaving me with more questions than answers. Friends and family advised me to move on, assuring me that perhaps she had personal reasons for withdrawing. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. A week later, my worst fears were realized. I received a call from the police, informing me that Emily had been apprehended in connection with a series of brutal murders that had plagued the city over the past year. She was a prime suspect, with evidence linking her to the crimes. The revelation hit me like a ton of bricks. I had unknowingly been dating a wanted serial killer. My mind raced, replaying every interaction we had. The subtle shifts in her demeanor, the sudden urgency of our last meeting. It all made sense now, painting a horrifying picture of deception and danger. I felt a mix of relief and profound betrayal, thankful that I had narrowly escaped becoming her next victim. The police investigation uncovered a trail of evidence that confirmed Emily's involvement in the murders. She had crafted multiple fake profiles on various dating platforms, using each one to lure unsuspecting victims into her web of deceit. Her charm and intelligence made her seem perfect, masking the darkness that lurked beneath. Each relationship ended abruptly, often after she had already plotted her next move. One day, as I sat in my apartment, the weight of the experience pressing down on me, I received a message from an unknown number. The words sent a chill down my spine. "You were lucky, Mike. Next time, luck won't be on your side." My blood ran cold as I realized that Emily's reach extended beyond our failed relationship, and she was still out there, free to continue her reign of terror. Determined not to let fear control me, I decided to take action. I shared my story publicly, shedding light on the dangers of online dating and the lengths to which predators like Emily would go to manipulate and harm their victims. My efforts helped raise awareness, contributing to stricter regulations on dating platforms and better support systems for victims of such heinous crimes. But the shadow of Emily's deception lingered, a constant reminder of the fragility of trust and the darkness that can hide behind a seemingly perfect facade. Every time I see a new profile on a dating app, a sense of caution washes over me, tempered by the hope that others would learn from my experience and stay vigilant against the predators that hide in the digital shadows. Months passed, and Emily's trial concluded with a guilty verdict. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Her charismatic veneer finally stripped away to reveal the monster she truly was. The courtroom was a place of both justice and sorrow, as the victim's family sought closure and the community grappled with the revelation of Emily's true nature. In the aftermath, I found solace in knowing that Emily would no longer pose a threat to anyone else. However, the psychological scars remained, a lingering fear that haunted me in the quiet moments of the night. Therapy helped me navigate the trauma, teaching me to rebuild my sense of safety and trust in the world around me. One evening, as I drove home after a long day of work, the memories of my encounter with Emily resurfaced. The thought of how easily I had been deceived by someone so seemingly perfect was both terrifying and humbling. I realized that while love and connection are powerful forces, they must be approached with caution and awareness. The experience transformed me, instilling a deeper sense of empathy and a commitment to helping others avoid similar fates. I became involved in advocacy work, supporting victims of online predators and pushing for stronger measures to prevent such atrocities. My story served as a beacon of hope, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the importance of vigilance in the face of deception. Years have passed since that fateful night, and while the fear has diminished, the lessons learned remain etched in my heart. I continue to seek genuine connections, but with a newfound wisdom that balances hope with caution. The memory of Emily serves as a constant reminder of the darkness that can hide behind the brightest smiles and the importance of trusting my instincts above all else. In the quiet moments, when the world is still and the night is dark, I reflect on the journey I've undertaken, from the depths of fear to the heights of empowerment. My story is one of survival, a narrative woven with threads of horror and hope, reminding me that even in the face of unimaginable deceit, the strength to overcome lies within us all. And so, as I navigate the complexities of life and love, I carry with me the shadows of my past, guiding me to protect not only myself but also those who seek love and companionship in the vast, often perilous landscape of the digital world. The phantom in the profile may have been a nightmare, but it also ignited a fire within me to ensure that others are never trapped in the same dark web of deception and fear. In the end, my encounter with Emily taught me that true strength comes from facing our fears head-on, from transforming pain into purpose, and from the unwavering belief that even in the darkest of times, hope can prevail. The shadows may linger, but so does the light, a light that shines through the darkness, guiding us towards safety, understanding, and the enduring power of genuine human connection. Story number 2. Shadows behind the smile. I've always believed that love transcends the digital barriers we erect between us. After enduring a series of failed relationships, I turned to online dating with cautious optimism, hoping to find someone genuine amidst the sea of profiles. Little did I know, my quest for connection would lead me into a nightmare that blurred the lines between reality and horror. It was a chilly October evening when I decided to create a profile on HeartConnect, a popular dating app known for its vast user base and sophisticated matching algorithms. I meticulously filled out my information, highlighting my love for hiking, reading, and a passion for photography. Within days, my inbox was flooded with messages, but one stood out among the rest. Her name was Anna. Her profile picture showcased her standing atop a mountain, the sunset painting her hair with hues of gold and amber. Her bio was equally captivating, filled with poetry and reflections on life's fleeting moments. Our conversations flowed effortlessly, each message deepening the connection I felt. She was intelligent, witty, and had an aura of mystery that intrigued me. After a few weeks of exchanging messages, we decided to meet in person. We chose a quaint cafe downtown, a neutral ground with soft lighting and a cozy atmosphere. I arrived early, my heart pounding with a mix of excitement and nervousness. When Anna walked in, her presence was even more enchanting in person. Her smile was genuine, and her eyes sparkled with warmth as she greeted me. The evening was everything I had hoped for. We shared stories, laughed over shared interests, and found solace in each other's company. As the night progressed, Anna suggested extending our time together with a walk along the nearby riverfront. I eagerly agreed, feeling a sense of belonging I hadn't felt in years. As we strolled beneath the canopy of autumn leaves, the conversation took a more serious turn. Anna spoke of her past, her dreams, and the challenges she had overcome. Her vulnerability touched me, and I felt an unspoken bond forming between us. But amidst the heartfelt exchanges, I couldn't shake a growing unease. There were moments when her gaze seemed distant, as if she was hiding something beneath her composed exterior. The night air grew colder, and the streets became deserted as we reached a secluded part of the park. Anna's demeanor shifted subtly, her smile fading, replaced by a look of intense focus. "There's something I need to tell you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Confusion washed over me. "What is it?" Before she could respond, a sudden gust of wind swept through the area, rustling the fallen leaves and sending a chill down my spine. Anna's eyes darted nervously around, and her grip on my hand tightened. "I'm sorry, but I have to go," she said abruptly, pulling away from me. I watched as she hurried towards her car, a sense of dread settling in my chest. Something wasn't right. Determined to understand what had just transpired, I decided to follow her discreetly. As I trailed behind her, the streetlights flickered ominously, casting long shadows that danced eerily on the pavement. Anna drove to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, a place that seemed out of place amidst the urban landscape. My heart raced as I parked a safe distance away, trying to make sense of the situation. Why was she taking me to a derelict building? My instincts screamed that I was in danger. Summoning all my courage, I approached the warehouse, the door creaking ominously as I pushed it open. Inside, the space was dimly lit, filled with dust and the remnants of forgotten machinery. The air was thick with an oppressive silence, broken only by the distant dripping of water. As I ventured deeper into the building, I heard faint footsteps echoing through the vast space. My pulse quickened, and a sense of foreboding wrapped around me like a suffocating blanket. Suddenly, Anna appeared from the shadows, her face contorted with fear and desperation. "Mike, you shouldn't have followed me," she hissed, her eyes wild with panic. "They're watching us." Before I could react, masked figures emerged from the darkness, surrounding us with malicious intent. My mind raced, trying to process the unfolding horror. These weren't ordinary assailants, they were part of a human trafficking ring. And Anna had been trying to protect me from their clutches. Anna reached into her bag, pulling out a small vial of what looked like a tranquilizer. "Take this," she ordered, pressing it into my hand. "It'll help you escape." Desperate and trusting, I hesitated for a moment before ingesting the substance. A wave of dizziness washed over me, and my vision blurred as the masked figures closed in. Anna's face softened, her eyes pleading with me to survive. "Run, Mike. Don't look back." With every ounce of strength, I pushed myself up, the effects of the tranquilizer making movement sluggish but not impossible. I stumbled towards the exit, the masked figures shouting and advancing relentlessly. The adrenaline coursing through my veins fueled my escape, and I managed to break free from their grasp, sprinting out of the warehouse into the cold night air. Panting and disoriented, I didn't stop until I reached the safety of a well-lit street. The authorities arrived moments later, alerted by my frantic calls and the description of the abandoned warehouse. The masked assailants were apprehended, their network exposed and dismantled through a coordinated police operation. In the aftermath, Anna and I parted ways, our bond forged in the crucible of shared terror. She became a silent hero, her bravery instrumental in bringing the traffickers to justice. I returned to my life with a renewed sense of caution and the lingering memories of that harrowing night. The experience left me scarred but resilient, a testament to the thin veil between safety and danger that exists in the shadows of our everyday lives. I became an advocate for victims of trafficking, using my story to raise awareness and support those who had fallen prey to similar horrors. Every time I swipe through profiles on a dating app, I'm reminded of the darkness that can hide behind a charming smile and the importance of trusting my instincts. Love can be a beacon of hope, but it can also be a mask for deceit and malice. The line between the two is perilously thin, and vigilance is our best defense against the predators that lurk in the digital abyss. In quiet moments, I reflect on the fragility of trust and the strength it takes to rebuild after trauma. The memory of Anna's sacrifice and the terror we endured serves as a constant reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring fight against the forces that seek to exploit and destroy. As I continue to navigate the complexities of modern relationships, I carry with me the lessons learned from that fateful encounter. Love, I've realized, is a journey that requires not only passion and connection but also wisdom and vigilance. And in the shadows where fear and hope intertwine, I strive to shine a light that can protect and heal, ensuring that no one else falls victim to the darkness that once nearly consumed me. Story number 3. The Phantom in the Profile. I've always been a believer in second chances. Life has a way of throwing curveballs, and sometimes, the most unexpected connections can turn into something meaningful. That's why, after a string of failed relationships and countless lonely nights, I decided to give online dating another shot. Little did I know, my search for love would lead me down a path of deceit and horror that would haunt me for years to come. It started innocently enough. I created a profile on HeartConnect, a popular dating site known for its robust security measures and vast user base. I filled out my information honestly, showcasing my interests in hiking, reading, and a passion for photography. Within days, I received a message from a woman named Emma. Her profile picture was stunning. A picture of her smiling amidst a sunflower field, her eyes sparkling with warmth and kindness. Our conversations flowed effortlessly. We talked about everything from our favorite books to our dreams for the future. Emma was intelligent, funny, and seemed genuinely interested in getting to know me. After a few weeks of messaging, we decided to take the plunge and meet in person. I was excited, feeling a connection that I hadn't felt in years. We arranged to meet at a cozy cafe in the city. I arrived early, my heart pounding with anticipation. Emma walked in shortly after, her presence as captivating in person as it was online. We greeted each other with a warm embrace and settled into our seats, ordering coffee and continuing our engaging conversation. As the evening progressed, I couldn't help but feel that something was off. Emma's stories were captivating, but there were moments when her demeanor seemed distant, as if she was holding back. I brushed it off as nerves, focusing instead on the genuine connection we were building. After our coffee, Emma suggested a walk through the nearby park. The idea sounded perfect, and I eagerly agreed. We strolled along the winding paths, the city lights casting a romantic glow on the snow-covered ground. The conversation was light, filled with laughter and shared stories. But as we reached a secluded area of the park, Emma's expression changed. "Mike," she said softly, her eyes reflecting a deep sadness. "There's something I need to tell you." Before I could respond, her demeanor shifted completely. Her warm smile faded, replaced by a look of desperation and fear. "I'm so sorry to do this," she whispered, clutching my arm tightly. "But I need your help." Confusion and concern flooded me. "What do you mean? What's wrong?" Emma took a deep breath, her voice trembling. "My family is in danger. They're being threatened, and I don't know who to turn to. Please, I need your assistance to protect them." I wanted to believe her, to help her in any way I could. "Of course, Emma, whatever you need. I'm here for you." She nodded gratefully, but a chill ran down my spine. There was something unnerving about her sudden plea for help, something that didn't quite add up. Nevertheless, I decided to stand by her, believing that everyone deserves a chance to overcome their struggles. Over the next few weeks, Emma and I grew closer. She shared more about her family's situation, claims of anonymous threats, mysterious phone calls, and a constant sense of being watched. I tried to support her, offering advice and resources to help her navigate the unsettling circumstances. One evening, Emma confided in me about her need to withdraw money from her bank account to cover legal fees. Without hesitation, I agreed to help her transfer funds, feeling a sense of responsibility to protect someone I cared about. However, things took a dark turn when I noticed discrepancies in Emma's stories. The urgency of her requests became more frequent, and the amounts she asked for grew larger. Concerned, I decided to look into Emma's background more thoroughly. What I found was chilling. No Emma Anderson existed in the city records, and the phone numbers she provided were disconnected. My heart sank as realization dawned on me. I had been deceived by someone with malicious intent. Panic set in as I tried to confront Emma, only to find her profile had vanished from the dating site. My messages went unanswered, and she was nowhere to be found. Desperate, I reported the scam to the authorities, but the trail went cold quickly. It was as if Emma had never existed, leaving me with nothing but the scars of betrayal and the fear that my personal information was compromised. The nightmare didn't end there. Shortly after the incident, my bank account was drained, and my credit cards maxed out. The stress was overwhelming, and I felt violated by the cunning tactics of the person who had preyed on my vulnerability. Friends and family rallied around me, helping me navigate the financial and emotional turmoil. But the damage had been done. As weeks turned into months, the memory of Emma lingered like a ghost in my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, the paranoia that someone was still out there, orchestrating my downfall. Sleep became elusive, replaced by restless nights filled with nightmares of being trapped in a web of deceit. Determined to uncover the truth, I delved deeper into the dark underbelly of online dating scams. I discovered that Emma was just one of many fabricated personas used by a sophisticated network of identity thieves. They exploited the emotional vulnerabilities of their victims, weaving elaborate stories to gain trust and manipulate their targets into parting with their money. The more I learned, the more I realized the extent of the horror that lay hidden behind the seemingly innocent profiles. Each story was a testament to the cunning and cruelty of these scammers, who thrived on the pain and suffering of others. I became an advocate for online safety, sharing my story to warn others of the dangers that lurked in the digital world. But the shadows of my own experience continued to haunt me. Late at night, I'd catch glimpses of a familiar face in the mirror, a reflection of Emma's sad eyes and deceptive smile. The apparition served as a constant reminder of the ordeal I had endured, a spectral echo of the darkness that had once consumed me. One particularly cold night, As I sat alone in my home, the power flickered and went out, plunging me into darkness. The silence was deafening, broken only by the sound of my own breathing. I reached for my phone, hoping to light the room with a flashlight app, but it wouldn't turn on. My heart raced as I felt a presence in the room, a coldness that sent shivers down my spine. "Mike!" A whisper echoed through the darkness, sending a chill through my entire body. "I'm sorry." I spun around, my eyes straining to see through the blackness. But there was nothing, no one, to be seen. The words lingered in the air, a haunting apology that filled me with both fear and sorrow. Had I truly escaped Emma's grasp? Or was she still out there, a phantom in my life's shadow? The experience left me with a deeper understanding of the dangers of online connections, the thin line between trust and vulnerability. I learned to protect myself, to remain vigilant against the masks that people wear, and to cherish the genuine connections that withstand the tests of time and adversity. Years have passed since that harrowing encounter, and life has gradually returned to normal. The financial scars have healed, and I've rebuilt my life with a newfound resilience. Yet, the memory of Emma Anderson remains etched in my mind, a ghostly reminder of the darkness that can hide behind a charming facade. I continue to drive through the vast landscapes of America, the open road a symbol of freedom and new beginnings. But every time I see a new profile on a dating site, a flicker of suspicion and caution takes hold. The digital world, for all its conveniences, still harbors shadows that can ensnare the unsuspecting. In the quiet moments, when the night is still and the road stretches endlessly ahead, I reflect on my journey from vulnerability to strength. My story serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder to remain cautious in the face of deception and to prioritize safety over the allure of love found online. As I navigate the highways and byways, the memory of Emma's haunting smile and the whispers in the dark continue to guide me, urging me to stay vigilant and compassionate. I carry with me the lessons learned from my ordeal, a testament to the enduring power of resilience and the importance of protecting one's heart in a world where love and danger often coexist in the shadows. And so, as I drive through the endless night, the stars twinkling above like silent witnesses, I hold on to the hope that my story will help others avoid the pitfalls of deceit and find true, genuine connections. The phantom in the profile may have been a figment of my worst fears, but the reality of online dangers is all too real, a nightmare that can be avoided with awareness, caution, and the strength to rise above the darkness. Story number 4. Shadows in the Pursuit. I've always believed that love at first sight was a romantic notion, a sentiment reserved for fairy tales and silver screen fantasies. As a graphic designer living in the bustling heart of Chicago, my life was a blend of creativity and routine, with little room for the dramatic twists that movies promised. That was until I met Daniel through an online dating app, a meeting that would turn my world upside down in ways I could never have imagined. Our first date was arranged at a cozy little cafe downtown, a place known for its ambient lighting and artisan coffee. I was nervous but excited, hoping to find a genuine connection after several disappointing attempts. When Daniel walked in, his presence was magnetic, tall, with piercing green eyes and a charming smile. He exuded confidence without arrogance. We clicked instantly, sharing stories about our lives, our passions, and our dreams. The conversation flowed effortlessly, and by the end of the evening, I felt a spark I hadn't felt in years. However, as the night drew to a close, Daniel suggested extending our time together with a walk along the riverfront. I agreed, swept up in the moment and the enchantment of our budding romance. But as we strolled under the soft glow of the streetlights, a subtle shift occurred. His demeanor changed from warm and engaging to something colder, more intense. I brushed it off as residual nervousness, attributing it to the evening's excitement. A week passed, and my interactions with Daniel dwindled. While I cherished the memories of our first date, I didn't feel the same magnetic pull during our subsequent conversations. I realized that perhaps our connection wasn't as deep as I had hoped and decided to be honest about my feelings, sending a polite message to suggest taking things slower. I awaited his response. That's when the nightmares began. First, it was subtle. I'd catch glimpses of a man matching Daniel's description out of the corner of my eye while walking to work or running errands. Each time, he'd disappear before I could get a good look, leaving me unsettled but dismissing it as mere coincidence. However, the sightings grew more frequent and unnerving. I'd see him standing across the street, watching me with those same piercing green eyes, or lurking in the shadows of alleyways I often took during my evening jogs. The situation escalated when I started receiving messages that weren't from Daniel. Texts that seemed to know intimate details about my life, places I frequented, people I interacted with, and personal thoughts I hadn't shared. The messages were unsettling, a mix of veiled threats and eerie compliments that left me feeling both violated and terrified. I reached out to Daniel, hoping he could shed some light on the situation. To my horror, he denied any knowledge of the messages or sightings. His charm had faded, replaced by a cold indifference that sent shivers down my spine. The realization hit me hard. Daniel was not just interested in me romantically, he was obsessed, and his intentions were far from pure. Fear gnawed at me as the stalker became more brazen. One evening, as I was leaving a late meeting at work, I felt a presence behind me. Turning around, I saw Daniel standing there, his smile twisted into something menacing. "You can't escape me," he whispered, his voice dripping with malice. I fled, my heart pounding, and hurried home, locking every door and window behind me. Desperate for safety, I contacted the police, filing a restraining order against Daniel. The authorities assured me that they would take the matter seriously, but the fear lingered like a dark cloud, casting a shadow over every aspect of my life. I changed my routines, altered my phone number, and even considered moving to a different city to escape his relentless pursuit. Despite these precautions, Daniel's presence remained. I'd hear his footsteps echoing outside my apartment at night, see his reflection in the window panes, and feel his eyes piercing through me even in the privacy of my own space. The once vibrant and creative parts of me began to wither under the constant strain of fear and anxiety. Sleep became elusive, replaced by restless nights haunted by nightmares of being trapped in a never-ending chase. In the depths of my despair, I sought therapy, hoping to regain control over my life and overcome the psychological torment inflicted by Daniel. The therapist encouraged me to confront my fears and reclaim my sense of safety. But the shadows of his obsession loomed large, making each day a battle against the invisible chains that bound me. One particularly harrowing night, as a thunderstorm raged outside, I heard a familiar tapping at my window. My heart raced as I approached cautiously, flashlight in hand, only to find the glass shattered and shards scattered across the floor. Standing there was Daniel, his face twisted in rage and determination. "You belong to me," he snarled, stepping into the room with a ferocity that left me paralyzed with fear. In that moment, something inside me snapped. The fear that had held me captive for so long transformed into a fierce resolve. I reached for my phone, dialing 911 with trembling fingers. The police arrived within minutes, their presence a lifeline in the midst of my nightmare. Daniel was apprehended, his delusions and obsession laid bare for all to see. The aftermath was a blur of legal battles, media attention, and the slow, painful process of healing. I was fortunate to escape physically unharmed, but the scars left on my soul were deep and lasting. Daniel's trial revealed a pattern of similar predatory behavior, his charming facade concealing a darkness that had claimed numerous victims over the years. The relief of knowing he would never harm me again was tempered by the lingering fear that others might fall prey to his twisted desires. Months turned into years, and while the terror of those nights began to fade, the lessons learned remained etched in my memory. I became an advocate for victims of stalking and harassment, using my story to raise awareness about the dangers of online dating and the importance of taking threats seriously. My journey from fear to empowerment was fraught with challenges, but it was a path I walked with determination, fueled by the desire to help others avoid the nightmare I had endured. In quiet moments, I still catch glimpses of those piercing green eyes in the shadows, reminders of the darkness that once consumed me. But now, those shadows hold no power over me. I've rebuilt my life, fortified by the strength gained from overcoming my fears and the support of those who stood by me. The memory of Daniel serves as a constant reminder to remain vigilant and compassionate, understanding that behind every charming smile may lie a hidden danger. Love, I've learned, is a delicate balance between trust and caution. It's a force that can uplift and heal, but also one that requires awareness and protection. My experience has taught me to value myself and my safety above all else, to recognize the signs of obsession and take decisive action when needed. While the scars of the past may never fully fade, they are a testament to my resilience and the unyielding spirit that helped me reclaim my life from the shadows. As I continue to navigate the complexities of love and relationships, I carry with me the wisdom gained from my ordeal. I approach each connection with a cautious optimism, knowing that true love is built on mutual respect, understanding, and a foundation of safety. And in the darkest of times, when shadows threaten to engulf me once more, I draw strength from the journey I've undertaken, a journey that transformed fear into courage and left me with an unbreakable resolve to protect myself and those I hold dear. The tale of my encounter with Daniel is a stark reminder that sometimes the greatest horrors lie not in the supernatural or the unknown, but in the very human capacity for obsession and malice. It's a story of survival, of finding light in the midst of darkness, and of the enduring power of the human spirit to overcome even the most terrifying of adversities. In the end, I emerged from the shadows stronger and wiser, ready to embrace the love and life that awaited me, with a newfound understanding of the importance of self-worth and the courage to stand against the darkness that seeks to consume us all. Story number 5. The Phantom of the Profile. I've always been cautious when it comes to online dating. The allure of finding love in the digital age is undeniable, but so are the dangers lurking behind the carefully curated profiles. Still, loneliness has a way of clouding judgment, and after months of failed relationships, I found myself diving back into the world of virtual romance. Little did I know, I was about to encounter a nightmare that would blur the lines between reality and horror. It started innocently enough. I created a profile on one of the most popular dating websites, crafting a persona that highlighted my interests: hiking, reading, and a passion for photography. My friends thought I was taking a positive step towards finding companionship, but deep down, I was terrified of being hurt again. Determined to move past my fears, I began browsing profiles, hoping to find someone genuine. That's when I came across her profile. Isabella. Her photos were stunning, capturing her laughing amidst sunlit meadows and gazing pensively over cityscapes. Her bio was equally captivating, filled with poetry and a longing for a meaningful connection. We started chatting, our conversations flowing effortlessly from day one. She was attentive, understanding, and seemed genuinely interested in getting to know me. Weeks passed, and our virtual relationship deepened. We shared our dreams, our fears, and our past heartbreaks. Isabella's words were like a balm to my wounded spirit, and I began to believe that perhaps, just perhaps, I had found someone special. One evening, after a particularly heartfelt conversation, she suggested we meet in person. My heart raced with excitement and anxiety. Could this be the beginning of a beautiful relationship? Or was I stepping into a carefully laid trap? We decided to meet at a quaint cafe nestled in a quiet part of town. I arrived early, the chilly December air biting at my cheeks. I chose a table by the window, where I could watch the snowflakes dance outside. Moments later, Isabella walked in, her presence radiant and warm despite the cold. She approached me with a smile that instantly put me at ease. We ordered coffee and spent hours talking. the conversation flowing as naturally as it had online. As the night progressed, I felt an overwhelming sense of happiness. But there was something in Isabella's eyes, a flicker of darkness that I couldn't quite place. Perhaps it was just the reflection of the dim cafe lights. Or maybe it was the remnants of past sorrows she never spoke of. Regardless, I dismissed the unease, choosing to focus on the connection we were building. After dinner, Isabella suggested a walk through the nearby park. The snow had stopped, leaving a pristine blanket that muffled our footsteps. We strolled along the winding paths, the moon casting a silvery glow over the landscape. As we reached a secluded area, Isabella turned to me, her expression serious. "There's something I need to tell you," she began, her voice trembling slightly. I felt a chill run down my spine, the air around us growing colder. "What is it?" I asked, concern etched on my face. She hesitated, taking a deep breath before continuing. "I've been hurt before, deeply. I've lost people I loved, and it's made me cautious. And sometimes, I don't know how to trust." I reached out, taking her hand in mine. "I understand. Isabella, I'm here for you. We can take things slow." Her eyes met mine, and for a moment, the darkness I'd sensed earlier seemed to lift. But then, something shifted. Her grip tightened, and her demeanor changed. "There's more," she whispered, pulling me closer. "Something I can't control." Before I could react, the world around us seemed to distort. The park transformed into a twisted version of itself. Trees with gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal hands. Shadows dancing menacingly in the periphery of my vision. The air grew thick with an oppressive presence, and I felt an overwhelming sense of dread. Isabella's face contorted, her eyes now voids of darkness. "You shouldn't have come here," she hissed, her voice echoing unnaturally. "They're watching." Terrified, I tried to pull away, but my legs felt like lead. Rooted to the spot, the shadows around us converged, forming grotesque shapes that loomed over us. I struggled to breathe, the weight of fear pressing down on me. Suddenly, everything snapped back to reality. We were back at the cafe, the warm lights and comforting ambience enveloping us once more. Isabella looked around, confusion clouding her features. "Did you see that?" she asked, her voice shaky. I nodded, my heart still pounding. "Yeah, something felt off." She sighed, a mixture of relief and lingering fear in her eyes. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you." We hurried out of the cafe, the cold night air greeting us as if nothing had happened. The experience left me shaken, questioning the nature of our relationship and the true identity of the woman I thought I knew. Over the next few days, I couldn't shake the unsettling feeling that something was terribly wrong. Isabella became distant, her behavior erratic and unpredictable. She avoided phone calls and messages, leaving me confused and worried. Determined to reach out, I finally convinced her to talk, meeting at the same cafe where our nightmare began. When I arrived, the cafe was empty, save for Isabella sitting alone at a table, her eyes hollow and distant. "Isabella, what's going on? Why are you acting like this?" She looked up, a haunted expression in her eyes. "You don't understand. They're still here, watching us." Before I could respond, the room seemed to darken, the lights flickering ominously. Shadows crept along the walls, stretching towards us like living entities. Isabella began to convulse, her body contorting unnaturally as she let out a guttural scream that echoed through the empty space. Panic surged through me as the shadows enveloped us, their whispers filling the air with chilling intent. "Leave her alone," a disembodied voice echoed, sending a shiver down my spine. "She belongs to us." I grabbed Isabella, trying to pull her away, but her strength waned, her body limp in my arms. The shadows closed in, their presence suffocating as they dragged us into the abyss of darkness. I fought against the invisible force, desperation fueling my every move. But the grip of the shadows was relentless. Suddenly, everything went black. When I awoke, I was lying on the cold floor of the cafe, the morning sun streaming through the windows. Isabella was nowhere to be seen, her seat abandoned as if she had vanished into thin air. Trembling, I got to my feet, my mind reeling from the night's horrifying events. Determined to find answers, I began researching, uncovering a series of disappearances linked to the same dating website. Each victim had reported a similar experience: meticulously charming men who turned out to be nothing more than faceless predators, using the guise of love to steal personal information and assets. The online profiles were meticulously crafted, hiding the true identities of these men who preyed on unsuspecting women. One case, in particular, stood out: Cheryl Bradshaw. She had shared a chilling account of meeting Rodney Alcala through a dating show, only to be targeted and robbed of everything she owned. Cheryl had managed to escape, but the psychological scars remained, a constant reminder of the darkness that can hide behind a charming facade. As I delved deeper, I realized that Isabella was more than just a victim. She was a manifestation of all the pain and suffering endured by those who had fallen prey to these deceitful predators. The shadows I had encountered were the remnants of their torment, seeking closure and justice that had long been denied. Determined to prevent others from experiencing the same fate, I took action. I collaborated with law enforcement, sharing the evidence I had uncovered and advocating for stricter regulations on online dating platforms. My efforts helped bring several perpetrators to justice, their carefully constructed lives unraveled by the truth we had uncovered. But the memory of that night at the cafe lingered, a haunting reminder of the fragility of trust and the darkness that can lurk behind a digital smile. I continued my work, driven by the desire to protect others from the horrors I had witnessed. But the scars remained, etched into my very soul. Years have passed since those harrowing events, and while the threats of online predators have lessened, the lessons learned remain ever relevant. I remain vigilant, aware that the digital world, for all its connectivity, still harbors shadows that can ensnare the unsuspecting. The story of Isabella and the phantom of the profile serves as a cautionary tale, a testament to the enduring power of love and the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable horror. In the quiet moments, when I reflect on my journey, I am reminded of the importance of empathy and vigilance. The line between trust and deception is thin, and it is our duty to safeguard the hearts and minds of those who seek connection in an increasingly digital world. The phantom of the profile may have vanished into the shadows, but the echoes of those who suffered continue to resonate, urging us to remain ever watchful and compassionate in our pursuit of love and companionship. And so, as I navigate the endless highways, the memory of that night serves as both a warning and a beacon, a reminder that even in the most hopeful beginnings, darkness can find a way to infiltrate, and it is up to us to shine a light that can dispel the shadows forever. Story number 6. Beneath the silent floor. I've always believed that home is where the heart is, a sanctuary from the chaos of the world. My wife, Laura, and I had found our perfect haven in a secluded cabin nestled deep within the Colorado Rockies. The tranquility of the mountains, the crisp air, and the comforting embrace of nature made it an ideal retreat from our bustling lives in Denver. But one winter night, our sanctuary transformed into a place of unimaginable terror, challenging everything I thought I knew about safety and the unseen forces that linger just out of sight. It was a bitterly cold December evening, the kind where the wind bites through every layer of clothing and the snow blankets the world in an oppressive silence. We had spent the day skiing, the exhilaration of carving through fresh powder leaving us both exhausted and content. Now, curled up in our bed, wrapped in blankets and basking in the warmth of the fireplace, we felt invincible against the elements outside. The cabin was everything we had hoped for, rustic yet comfortable, with sturdy wooden walls and a layout that felt both intimate and expansive. The living room, with its large windows overlooking the snow-covered landscape, was our favorite spot. We would spend hours there, reading, talking, or simply enjoying the peacefulness that enveloped us. That night, as the clock struck midnight, a deep rumble shook the cabin. At first, Laura and I thought it was just the storm outside, the wind howling and trees groaning under the weight of the snow. But the shaking grew more intense, the bed beneath us convulsing violently. Panic surged through me as I held onto Laura, our bodies pressed tightly together in the face of the unexplained force. "Laura, what's happening?" I whispered, my voice trembling. She clung to me, her eyes wide with fear. "I don't know. Feels like an earthquake." The shaking continued, each tremor more violent than the last, sending objects clattering across the room. The chandelier above us swayed dangerously, and the windows rattled as if begging to break free from their icy prison. Our hearts pounded in unison, the uncertainty of the situation amplifying our fear. Desperate to understand what was happening, I forced myself to my feet, grabbing Laura's hand. Together, we made our way cautiously towards the living room. Each step weighted with apprehension. The once comforting space now felt alien and threatening, shadows dancing menacingly in the flickering light. As we reached the front of the cabin, the shaking suddenly ceased as abruptly as it had begun, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. I looked around, trying to assess the damage. Fortunately, the cabin had held up surprisingly well, but the sense of unease lingered like a thick fog. "Maybe it was just the storm," I suggested, though doubt gnawed at me. Laura nodded, but her uneasy smile didn't reach her eyes. "Yeah, probably. Let's check the cabin." We began inspecting the cabin, ensuring that nothing was broken or damaged beyond repair. The shelves were intact, and the furniture remained steadfast despite the violent shaking. However, an unsettling thought began to creep into my mind. Something was wrong. Something beyond the natural forces we had initially attributed the shaking to. That's when I noticed it, a faint, eerie draft emanating from beneath the floorboards near our bed. My skin prickled with unease as I knelt down, carefully lifting the edge of the rug to inspect the area. Underneath, I discovered a small, concealed hatch, cleverly hidden and easily overlooked. "Laura, look at this," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. She joined me, her eyes scanning the hatch with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. "What do you think it is?" "I'm not sure," I admitted, feeling a chill run down my spine. "But we need to find out." Together, we worked to pry open the hatch, the wooden boards groaning under the pressure. As the hatch swung open, a musty, damp odor wafted up, filling the room with an oppressive heaviness. My flashlight pierced the darkness, revealing a narrow staircase descending into the abyss below. "Should we go down?" Laura asked, her voice quivering. Before I could respond, a sudden, overwhelming force seemed to pull us towards the hatch, as if invisible hands were trying to prevent us from uncovering the secrets hidden beneath our bed. I struggled against the unseen force, my determination wavering as fear took hold. "Mike, don't. It's not safe," Laura cried, her grip tightening around my hand. But something deep within me refused to back down. The cabin had always felt secure, a place where we could escape from the world's troubles. To see it now hiding something so dark and foreboding was unbearable. Taking a deep breath, I summoned every ounce of courage and began to descend the staircase, Laura following closely behind. The steps creaked ominously under our weight, the darkness enveloping us like a suffocating blanket. As we reached the bottom, the flickering beam of my flashlight revealed a hidden basement, its walls damp and covered in mold. The basement was cold, the air thick with the scent of decay and death. Dust motes floated lazily in the dim light, undisturbed by time. As we ventured further, we stumbled upon the remnants of a once functioning space, old furniture, broken appliances, and personal belongings scattered carelessly across the floor. It was clear that this place had been abandoned for years, if not decades. But what caught our attention was the floor directly beneath our bed. The section where our bed had been positioned was now an open, gaping hole, exposing the wreckage of what once was a sturdy foundation. The truth hit me like a ton of bricks. We were sleeping directly above the remnants of a collapsed basement, the site of a tragic accident where many lives had been lost to an avalanche. The realization was horrifying. The shaking we had experienced wasn't a natural occurrence. It was the restless spirits of those who had perished in the avalanche, trapped beneath the floor we now stood on. The cabin had been built on cursed ground, a place where the dead couldn't find peace, their anguish manifesting in violent tremors and eerie drafts. Tears welled up in Laura's eyes as she grasped my arm tightly. "Mike, what do we do now?" I swallowed hard, the weight of our situation pressing down on me. "We need to help them. We can't let their spirits remain trapped like this." Determined to right the wrongs of the past, we began to clean and restore the basement, removing the debris and giving the lost souls a chance to find peace. Days turned into weeks as we worked tirelessly, the process both exhausting and cathartic. The more we uncovered, the more we understood the depth of their suffering and the desperation that had led to their untimely deaths. As we delved deeper into the history of the cabin, we discovered the stories of the families who had lived and died there, loved ones torn apart by the unforgiving forces of nature, their lives snuffed out in an instant. Each piece of evidence we unearthed added to the tapestry of tragedy that had bound their spirits to the place. One particularly cold evening, as we were placing the final touches on our restoration efforts, the air in the basement grew inexplicably warmer. The oppressive weight that had once been a constant presence lifted, replaced by a sense of calm and gratitude. The spirits that had once shaken our bed now whispered words of thanks, their voices soft and filled with relief. Laura and I stood together, watching as the last remnants of the past faded into the ether, their suffering finally acknowledged and honored. The cabin felt lighter, the darkness that had once loomed over us now dissipated by the power of our compassion and determination. As we ascended the stairs back to our bedroom, the cabin no longer felt like a haunted sanctuary, but a place of healing and remembrance. The bed beneath us was once again a place of rest, free from the violent tremors that had plagued us for so long. That winter night changed everything for us. We learned that home isn't just a physical space but a place where we can confront our fears and make amends for the past. The mountains, once a symbol of our escape, now held the memories of those we couldn't forget, their stories forever intertwined with ours. Years have passed since that harrowing experience, and life has returned to its usual rhythm. But the lessons we learned in that cabin remain etched in our hearts, a constant reminder of the fragile balance between life and death, and the enduring power of empathy. The cabin still stands, a beacon of hope amidst the snow-covered landscape, a place where the past and present coexist in harmony. Sometimes, on quiet winter nights, Laura and I sit by the fireplace, the warmth enveloping us as we share stories of our journey. We speak of the lives we touched and the spirits we helped find peace, our hearts forever connected to the souls that once roamed beneath our bed. In the stillness of the mountains, we find solace, knowing that we made a difference in a place where darkness once reigned. Our home remains a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the belief that even in the face of tragedy, compassion can illuminate the darkest of nights. And so, as I continue to drive through the snowy roads of Colorado, the memory of that winter night guides me, a haunting yet hopeful reminder that sometimes the most profound connections are forged in the most unexpected and terrifying of circumstances. Story number 7. The final selection. I've always been fascinated by the unpredictability of human nature. As a producer for one of the most popular dating shows of the late 1970s, The Heartbeat Connection, I had the privilege of witnessing countless love stories unfold, but none were as unsettling as the episode that aired in November 1978, featuring Rodney Alcala, the man who would forever change my perception of the game. Rodney walked into the studio with an easy charm that immediately captivated both the host and the audience. Tall, with piercing blue eyes and a disarming smile, he seemed like the perfect gentleman. His application had been impeccable, and his interview exuded confidence without arrogance. We had high hopes for him, believing he would be the ideal contestant to win over one of our lovely bachelorettes. Cheryl Bradshaw was our contestant that night, a young woman with a vibrant personality and a keen eye for genuine connection. She had a way of making everyone feel comfortable, and her laughter was infectious. From the moment she met Rodney, there was an undeniable spark, a palpable chemistry that had the audience buzzing with excitement. The evening began with the usual introductions and light-hearted banter. Cheryl and Rodney engaged in playful conversation, their interactions seemingly natural and sincere. As the night progressed, the host introduced the final segment. Cheryl would choose one of the two remaining contestants to go on a romantic getaway. The tension in the studio was thick with anticipation. Rodney exuded a quiet confidence that made Cheryl hesitate. She looked thoughtful, her eyes darting between Rodney and the other contestant, a man named Mark. Mark was handsome and outgoing, but there was something about Rodney that drew Cheryl in deeper, something she couldn't quite put her finger on. Finally, the moment of truth arrived. Cheryl was asked to make her selection. She took a deep breath, her hand hovering over the podium. "I choose Rodney," she announced, her voice steady but betraying a hint of uncertainty. The studio erupted in applause, but in that moment, something felt off. Cheryl smiled warmly, embracing Rodney, and the two of them left the stage together, their departure leaving a lingering sense of unease among the crew. The following weeks were a whirlwind of activity as Cheryl and Rodney prepared for their romantic getaway. But as production wrapped up, rumors began to surface. Cheryl started receiving unsettling phone calls, her cheerful demeanor slowly morphing into one of fear and anxiety. She confided in me, her eyes darting nervously as she recounted strange occurrences, objects moving on their own, shadows lurking in the corners of her vision, and an overwhelming sense of being watched. I dismissed it as the stress of the spotlight and the pressure of a public relationship. But deep down, a nagging feeling told me something wasn't right. My intuition proved correct when, just days before Rodney's trial for multiple murders, Cheryl vanished without a trace. The disappearance sent shockwaves through the community and the nation. Investigations revealed that Rodney Alcala was not just a charming contestant but a meticulous predator, responsible for the deaths of at least 8 women. Cheryl's decision to choose him had unknowingly placed her in the path of a monster. As the trial progressed, the horror of Cheryl's ordeal became evident. She had managed to escape Rodney's clutches, but the psychological scars remained. The media frenzy surrounding the case was intense, with debates about the safety of reality television and the darkness that can hide behind a charming facade. The final verdict was swift and decisive. Rodney Alcala was found guilty on multiple counts of murder and sentenced to death. Cheryl, though physically unharmed, struggled to reclaim her life from the shadows of her past. The episode of The Heartbeat Connection featuring Rodney became a cautionary tale, a stark reminder of the thin line between attraction and danger. Years later, I still find myself haunted by that night, the allure of Rodney's charm, the vulnerability of Cheryl's trust, and the devastating consequences of their interaction weigh heavily on my conscience. I often wonder how different things might have been if Cheryl had heeded her gut instinct earlier or if Rodney had never crossed paths with our show. In the quiet moments of reflection, I'm reminded of the fragility of human connection and the hidden darkness that can lie beneath the surface. The final selection wasn't just a choice between 2 contestants. It was a choice between innocence and evil, trust and betrayal. Cheryl's courage to leave Rodney is a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Even in the face of unimaginable horror, The Heartbeat Connection continued to thrive, but the shadow of that tragic episode lingered, shaping the way we approached future contestants and ensuring that safety protocols were more stringent than ever before. The lessons learned from Cheryl's experience are etched into the very fabric of our production, a solemn vow to protect those who seek love and companionship through our platform. Rodney Alcala's name became synonymous with horror, a grim reminder of the monsters that can hide behind a mask of normalcy. Cheryl's story, however, remains one of resilience and survival. a beacon of hope that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can find a way to endure and heal. As I drive through the snowy roads of Colorado, the memories of that fateful night often resurface. The flickering lights of the motel, Cheryl's fearful eyes, and Rodney's charming smile all blend into a haunting tapestry of love and loss. It's a story that continues to echo in my mind, urging me to remain vigilant and compassionate, to never underestimate the darkness that can dwell within even the most charismatic individuals. In the end, Cheryl's bravery and the tragic outcome of that episode serve as a powerful reminder of the importance of listening to our instincts and the profound impact our choices can have on our lives and the lives of others. The legacy of Rodney Alcala and Cheryl Bradshaw lives on, intertwined in a narrative of horror and hope that continues to resonate with audiences to this day.